The show really only has one rule. Say what you want. Nothing can be held against you because here, everything is officially unofficial. Oh yeah, we need a host. You ready, Dave?
Welcome into Officially Unofficial. And with that, I guess I have officially kicked off this brand new podcast. You're going to be able to see this podcast every other week on Bassmaster.com as part of the brand new Bassmaster channel. But don't worry, we're not going to leave you hanging. On the weeks that this show's not there, you're going to get the TMZ podcast with Tommy Sanders and Mark Zona. It's so exciting to be part of this project, and both shows promise you to give you the real dirt and what we really see going on behind the scenes. But specifically, what is officially unofficial, other than kind of a fun play on words? One thing is certain in today's world, especially in today's fishing world. It doesn't matter the topic you bring up. Everybody has an opinion, and they're almost never the same. And that's what I hope to unearth throughout this show. I'm going to dig deep in my bulbous Rolodex of bass fishing pros, industry icons, and just people of interest. And we're going to broach a bunch of different topics. Some of them shocking, some of them startling, some of them funny, and some of them controversial. But I promise you, we will try and get the opinions from all sides. With that being said, we have to have a first show. And firsts are special, so I wanted to come up with a topic that, well, we can all relate to. And I got thinking, what are anglers synonymous for? Well, I'll be honest. We're synonymous at lying. All anglers lie. I mean, each and every one of you, everybody on the tour, they all lie. I mean, if you don't believe that, just go on social media and look at how many people blur out the background when they post a picture of fish. It's just part of fishing, so much so that the fishing community has embraced the term sandbagger. What is a sandbagger? Well, I told you I was prepared for this podcast. Actually did some research. In the context of fishing, a sandbagger is someone who deliberately downplays or misrepresents their fishing ability to gain an advantage, often by making it seem like they are struggling when they're actually doing well. So this week, I've got 4 guests, and we're going to try and figure out who the greatest sandbagger, or maybe the worst sandbagger. It depends on how you want to look at that. One thing that we don't have the worst is our guests. What a lineup we have this week. We kick things off with Matt Robertson, then Jason Christie, Gerald Swindle, and we round it all out with the brand new host of TMZ, Mark Zona himself. So let's jump into it. Who are the greatest or worst sandbaggers in this sport? And remember, everything they say here, well, it's officially unofficial. How cheesy was that? I am the king of fromage.
Matt Robertson, sandbagging. It's a big term. Who are the...
Yeah.
Are you a sandbagger, first of all?
No, dude. Like, I'm trying to win that $1,000 with my daggone scale. I'm trying to get it to the ounce. What are you talking about? I want to show me the money, baby. I ain't no sandbagger.
Well, I think that just that alone proves how bad of liars or sandbaggers a lot of you guys are, that Bass had to put in $1,000 award for the closest to your bass track weight. Have you ever won that?
No. Ed Lochran is guy's the king of winning that. I don't know what he does. Like, he's got it figured out. He took a 5-pound sugar bag and put it on his scale and calculated how to get it exactly right, guaranteed.
Well, I mean, so through the numbers, it shows that you're kind of a sandbagger. But who are the greatest or biggest sandbaggers on the Bassmaster Elite Series?
Do you want the king? We're going to place the crown on his head.
However you choose to go.
And ain't nobody denying this. Oh, placing the... All hail the king, Patrick Walters. God almighty, dude. The all-time worst is Patrick Walters. He's the biggest sandbagger. Like, he's got sand in his pockets whenever he wakes up out of bed. He's got sand in his underwear while he's asleep, and if he's sleeping naked, he's sleeping in a sandbox, and it's in his butt cheeks. That's how much sand he has in his bag.
Why? Like, what? I mean, do you have statistical proof, or is this stuff he does publicly, or is this just your
Oh,
thoughts?
it's bona fide fact. I got 19 pounds at Lake Fork. 29 pounds, 31 pounds, 19 on bass track. Okay, Patrick, let's say, that's 4 pounds of fish. Okay, 4 pounds. Okay, 32 pounds, 32 pounds, and 20 pounds. He is missing it by 2.25 pounds of fish, maybe 2.5. 2.5 pounds of fish.
Yeah, I guess he's definitely the. So, is there anyone in contention, or does he have it?
No, dude, that dude's on a whole nother level. Like, you talk about people being the best at stuff, he is the best at sandbagging.
Was there a case to be made that sandbagging helps you as a competitor nowadays, or no?
No, it makes you seem like you're an idiot because you can't count. You can't even read, you can't count to 10 because you ain't catching a bass over 10 too often, and you can't tell them what number appears on your scale whenever you weigh it.
Maybe he
Like,
doesn't weigh his fish.
It ain't rocket science. Okay. Has the man not caught enough? Patrick, let me ask you enough. Have you not caught enough bass? I'm usually light. I will say. Sometimes I'll go a pound light on my fish. But Patrick, have you not caught enough fish to get within a pound? Not 2.5 pounds. Like, we're talking about a whole nother 15-inch bass here.
Yeah, he's very off. But as a tournament MC, I like it. I'll be honest. It makes the weigh-ins a little more fun. I mean, a little more surprising. We reveal everything from the get-go. But I mean, I don't hate the sandbaggers. Is it frustrating to compete against a sandbagger like Patrick?
Yeah, because you get back and we're like, listen, you're gonna borderline cut, or you seeing what's making the cut? You try and figure it out. Oh, yep, okay. Day two. All right, I might make the cut tomorrow. I might make the cut. Figuring it out, trying to do all this computing in your head. Who all's left? Oh, there's Patrick. Oh, there's Coop. Oh well, that's three more that's below me, but I know it's going to be above me because they don't know how to count.
So you're saying Coop's a sandbagger too?
Yeah, 100% Coop sandbagger. Oh, St. Lawrence River, I got 18.5 pounds. 26.5. Same thing at the daggum Lake Fork. Lake Fork catches 2 9-pounders, got them in there as fives. Like, I'm pretty sure these two 9s, 8 and 9s ain't fives, bud. Like, okay, yeah, you only got 4 fish, blah blah. You're not saying what if these 4 were 5? Like,
Do they
yeah,
sandbag just on Bass Track, or are they personal sandbaggers? Like if you run into them before the
I think
tournament,
they do it on purpose. Oh yeah, ain't neither one of them ever caught a bass in practice.
ever.
Ever. I've never talked to Coop. And me and Coop talked a little bit. I never talked to him, and he ain't caught nothing. Never caught a bass in practice. And I don't think Patrick Walters ever caught a bass outside a tournament. Like,
Chris
ever.
Johnson falls under that too. I mean,
Oh.
he posts every time on his social media. It's a lot tougher than you'd expect. You know, the bite's not what we thought.
I
And
know.
then boom.
He can't count either. Oh, I got 24 pounds on Bass Track. Day 2 last year. 30. What did he have? 30 pounds that day on the St. Lawrence River?
29.5, I believe, or 29.6.
Oh,
Tied the biggest bag ever in smallmouth
okay.
bass.
I caught the biggest bag, tied the biggest bag ever, smallmouth bass, but I got 24 pounds. Like, you got one of the biggest bags of smallmouth ever weighed in, not 24 pounds. Oh, he scoops it up. Oh, that's a 5 3/4 or a 6. Live well, 4 pounds. Come on, dude.
So those are the top 3. Those are your top 3?
Top 3. Honey, come here.
Oh, wow. Special guest.
We got a special guest. Come here. Hurry up. Come here and sit in my lap. Sit in Daddy's lap.
Okay. Oh, boy. Hey, this officially
Come
unofficial
here,
is
honey.
happening.
Santa Claus.
Oh, wow. What do you want for
call me-
Christmas?
Hi, Dave.
Hi, Colleen. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. What are we doing here?
Ask her about the
Top three
bag.
biggest sandbaggers. Who are they?
Don't lie. Tell him.
Patrick Walters. I'm nervous to say. They're probably not.
Just tell him.
Wesley Gore.
Wesley
Wesley
Gore.
Gore, you getting called out, son.
And Greg Hackney.
God.
The Hack Attack.
Usually, if I see them on there and they have like a 2 pound or 3 pound entered, I'm like, that's 5 pound. They're going to make the cut. Matt's not going to make the cut. Yeah, usually.
What percentage of Elite Series pros do you think are sandbaggers?
Probably 40%.
You just called 40% of the Elite Series liars.
Maybe that's their strategy. Matt is not allowed to do that because I'll have bad anxiety.
Or you can't.
And I'm trying to win the $1,000.
Wow. You never know when a special guest. She was not comfortable sitting on your lap, Matt.
She's actually on the arm of the couch.
Yeah. We didn't
She'd
want
have
to.
been more spunky if she sat on my lap.
Really? You sure you're not sandbagging?
There wouldn't have been no sand in that bag, Dave.
Oh, thank you, dude. I appreciate your feedback. Jason Christie, Sandbaggers. I mean, I think in some ways, as a tournament MC, I kind of love the Sandbaggers because it makes it a little bit more exciting. But would you classify yourself as a sandbagger?
Absolutely. Not on purpose, but kind of. I'm with you on the weigh-in side of things. I just think it makes everything more exciting. And when I go weigh in, I don't want to be, I don't want to guess that I have 15 pounds and then I have 14. Everybody's disappointed. I want to, have 10 or 11 or 12. And, the degree that you sandbag, everybody's different. But yeah, I think that I definitely do it a little bit.
So it's not a derogatory term. If somebody says you're a sandbagger, what does that make you feel? Just,
it's
fine.
I am. Yeah, that's. I want to make the weigh-in exciting. Now I'm talking about bass track on sandbagging. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And what's funny is we have a few guys, and I know that I do it. And I always do it. But I'll look at some guys and, I weigh in, you look at bass track and they have 9 pounds and you're like, man, they didn't have a good day. And their 9 turns into 18. Like I never do that. I've been known to do a few pounds and 4 or 5 sometimes, but not 10.
Who are the top 3 sandbaggers? And not even at the elites. The elites or in fishing in general.
I can think of one who's pretty big, and that's Hackney. And Hackney I would think that if you were talking to Hackney would probably point fingers at me first. But Hackney definitely does. And gosh, there's really a lot of the guys that do. And the funny thing about it is whenever you're fishing, you look at Bass Track and you want to, if you don't have a good day, you want to hope that Bass Track is accurate. It's never accurate. I'm going to say that 90% of the guys, everybody does it for the most part because everybody has 2, 3, or 4 more pounds than what they say they do, unless you're the 5 guys that's trying to win the $1,000 Bass Track contingency.
You think there's 5 that try to win it?
Is there 5? I would. That'd be my guess.
There's not many.
Yeah, it seems like there's like 5 guys that try to do it, but like people have pointed fingers at me, especially at the Classic. But you can ask Jake on that deal. That was not a sandbagging thing. That was it was happening so fast in the last 30 minutes that he never had time to type it in. So, and I'm glad it worked out that way because I love it that my family thought that I was beat.
Yeah.
That made it great. But Hackney number 1. I'll throw myself at number 3. I think Patrick Walters is somewhat of a sandbagger. I've learned that.
Yeah.
And I'm just talking about bass track, but yeah, that would be I think that'd be 1, 2, 3.
Is sandbagging ever a weapon? Like, have you throughout? I mean, you said the classic was totally unintentional, but have you ever intentionally, like, let's not tell them and let's.
Absolutely. Because what happens if you do tell them on the first day of the tournament, or the second, the first day of the tournament? If you're having a great day at noon, I mean, we all run rat boats. Everybody knows what we run. All of a sudden, here comes the, not only the media, but the local guys.
Yeah, because they can see it all.
Yeah, they can see what's going on. At least if you're not way up there in the weight on the first day, then you get one full day of fishing, and then the second day, you can manage. I'll worry about day 2 when day 2 gets here. So absolutely, it's a weapon. At the classic, somewhere like that, where if bass track, if you're really, really catching them, you're all of a sudden you're just drawing all this attention towards you, and it's definitely 100% a weapon.
Do you think people, let's say top 10 baits, are there sandbaggers on the top? I mean, I know Patrick is the ultimate. Do you realize what he did once? 1 year on top 10 baits, when he won on the St. Lawrence, he was throwing a drop shot, and literally his picture in top 10 baits is a drop shot weight and a hook. There's not even a bait. He's like, I'm drop shotting. So, I mean, I know he sandbagged in that situation, but what percentage of the stuff that people say on top 10 baits do you think is correct?
I think a lot of it is, and I put myself in that position. When you get to the top 10 day, I mean, I'm throwing a covert spinnerbait. I want people to see. I mean, that's the purpose of my job. Not the purpose of my job, but that's an important part of my job, is to promote that bait. So I want people to know what it is. Now, I may be catching them on 3 baits, and I show them number 2 and number 3, maybe not number 1. It just depends on the situation, and kind of how far, how close everybody is. And I mean, proximity wise, if I'm fishing the same area as somebody else. So yeah, that goes on. I mean, it goes on a lot of the time. Like, I wouldn't say this is true, but I wouldn't guess against it. When marshals take pictures out there, you can, I mean, like, yeah, take this picture, but, face it toward the open water where it looks like I'm fishing out. Or, if I'm fishing out, let's take that picture where I'm right there next to that dock or something like that. So you want to mislead them a little bit. In this group, you have to take every little thing that you can get.
So during competition, you literally take a second to think, hey, let's show them I'm offshore, or show them I'm by a dock. So I can't believe a damn thing that I see from you on the blog.
And that's not for the fans, that, I mean, I'm not saying that I'm going to stop the day and say, let's take this picture.
No. Yeah.
I'm just saying that, I catch one, the old boy's like, hey, I want to do, because the marshals get priority if they send pictures and stuff in. They get, what is it, priority to kind of get in the third day?
I don't know how it works.
Bonus bucks. They kind of get bonus bucks for the more material that they send in. So, they want to take a picture, and well, let's turn it this way. Let's get right underneath this willow tree where it looks like he's flipping willows or something like that. It doesn't happen very often, but I've done it a time or two.
Have you ever had a marshal take a picture that you were like, hey, don't hit send?
Well, yeah, because they may take a picture with a big tower behind you, or something that's easy to see. Absolutely. And I've had marshals that send pictures without you knowing. That's happened.
Did you have a chat with them after? Or?
Well, you don't know until
it's
after
too late.
It's over with, but most of that stuff's not been, it hasn't changed anything. So that is what it is.
Yeah, and if you're going to keep catching them, you're going to have a camera on you anyways. Like,
exactly.
I think Live has dealt with a lot of that, like even the trying to keep secrets, because there's only so secretive you can be. I mean, your old roommate was the kid. I mean, he's the only dude I know to this day that literally would hide his bait. Edwin would hide his freaking bait. Like he would be on live and he wouldn't like just turn his back. Like he'd straight up, you can't see the bait. You've never done that, have you?
Maybe on day 1 or 2, but not really on 4. I show it off on day 4.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So top 3 sandbaggers are Hackney, Patrick Walters, and yourself. The fact that you put yourself in there, I think, proves to me that you're not totally a sandbagger. I mean, if you were, you would be like, that's not me.
Well, if I didn't put myself in there, I'd probably get more ridicule than I would if, you know what I mean, than actually putting myself in there. Because there's probably a lot of those guys that probably think that I'm the number one, but I don't think so.
You're an honest sandbagger.
I'm an honest sandbagger.
Yes.
You know, and I'm not the sandbagger where somebody says, are you going to catch them? And I'll be like, dude, I haven't had a bite in, 3 days of practice and the week before I got here. And then all of a sudden come in with 20 pounds. I don't do that.
Is that worse than bass track? Like if a guy that tries to mislead you in pre-fish, that's worse?
Yeah, that's I don't want to hear that from somebody. I mean, the bass track thing is what it is. I mean, there's just a lot of other things going on out there with the boats and all of this kind of stuff. And my mom said it, I know my wife said it, but just the term is they want to be pleasantly surprised whenever you can. Not, I said I had 15 and have 12. I'm not going to stop and weigh them. So it's just my best guess. And sometimes maybe I'm just not good at guessing fish.
Well, you're a good sandbagger, an honest sandbagger. Thank you, Jason Christie. Gee, we spent a lot of time on the road with a whole bunch of sandbaggers. I need your top 3.
It's going to be easy. Scott Canterbury's number 1. Scott Canterbury, since I've known him when he was a kid, he had a bite. He's never had a bite bass fishing. He doesn't even take poles when he practices. Never gets a bite. His leg's horrible. Here's 21 pounds again. So, I mean, I would put Scott Canterbury as the top. No matter what he says in practice, it's irrelevant. You don't even you're like, whatever. Now, he's not quite as good as Patrick Walters.
Next level sandbag.
I mean, Patrick Shorts is short, but his sandbag's long. I can promise you. Because that brother be like, he'll be sandbagging you in the weigh-in line. That's what I'm watching. I'm like, you got him? Nope. How about 14? 31 pounds, 12 ounces. I'm like, yep, he didn't have them. So, like, the whole sandbagging in the weigh-in line, I'm like, this is confusing. I mean, that's like when you step up to the urinal, there's no more time to lie. Like, it's over. The game's, all the cards are played.
It's in your hand.
Like, no pun intended. But, so when I tell Patrick, I'm like, I mean, in practice, he'll act like it's tough. And then in the weigh-in line, he'll act like it's tough. And then he's like, I'm looking around last year and I'm like, he's just going to put them up there and we're not going to notice it. Like, we just heard giant bass. So, I mean, it ain't like it's a secret, like a closed ballot weighing or something where nobody knows what they got. So, I'm going to say Canterbury, Patrick Walters, and God, the third one, man, we could dig around. I mean, I'll even go back to Van Dam days. He was an okay sandbagger. But he would give the hat nod sometimes and give it away. So he tried to play but Reese always never, if he caught him, he might say he had 8 pounds and he had 25. You never knew. So Skeet, Van Dam, probably not going to be, God, I'm just going to pull one out right there because that's a tough one, Dave. I mean, you've heard them talk in practice.
Oh.
They never had a bite.
No, they don't even. I mean, I don't even know if they cast in practice.
I'm going to throw in a rookie, Kyle Patrick.
He's a sandbagger?
Talked to him all last year. He ain't had a bite all year. The hooks didn't even work. Just practice is horrible. Maybe had one bite pinging a minnow. Now I'm like, I'm like, hey, bro, you can't bull crap a crapper over here. So I think the key is, even though you got great sandbaggers, you got to learn to read them.
Okay.
And if they come to you telling you how bad the lake is, they sandbagging. See, they pulling, so they setting you up for like a joke. But if you ask them to fishing tough, and they're like, it's pretty tough, man. See, that guy ain't sandbagging. He just is pretty tough. But if a guy seeks you down and goes like walks up to you, oh, it's horrible out there, ain't had a bite, man. He's fishing. He ain't quit fishing on the water. He's still scoping in the parking lot trying to figure out what's it gonna take to get a bite. So I think that the caliber scopers are there, but I'm gonna tell you, I'd put Walters and Canterbury and Kyle Patrick. That's a pretty good scoping for the younger generation. Van Dam was a good one. He was good on the whole sandbagging deal, but the hat would give him away every time. Every time.
Have you personally ever sandbagged?
Yes. Yes. I will not freebase cocaine anymore, but I have sandbagged. Now I'll do a little sandbagging if I think I got a check made. I will sit back there and do a little sandbagging, but I won't do it on a spotted bass lake. No, I just won't do it unless I think ain't nobody else catching them. Then I'll sandbag a little bit. So I think we're all guilty of it. I think some people can't help from doing it, But when you're standing in the weigh-in line, here's the pro tip of the day. You can't sandbag anymore because in a few minutes, you're going to hear the main guy from Canada call the weight. And then you just look like, you got egg on your face. I mean, you beat us, but it don't look good. So there you go. Don't sandbag in the line.
What? Now, I never get to see backstage, obviously. But when Walters does that and he walks off stage, does he just not look at anybody?
Yeah,
or does
it's almost like he's just
shocked.
Well, he's got that. You know how this deal is. This is the 25 and under hood trick. So if you're under 25 years and you put this hood on, nobody can see you.
It's invisibility.
Yes. If you pull up and you think you're close, you just put your hood on and you don't look at them and they don't see you. So in the weigh-in line, there's a lot of this. And you got them? Nope. Really? Nope. About 12 pounds. Right then. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming, So I think I think that's just human nature. But the weigh-in line can be pretty fun to sit there and watch everybody trying to guess their weight. But if you got 31 pounds and you guess 19,
you may be a little off.
You may be like mine and Mercer's sense of humor. You may be a little off to one side. I mean, at least because you can look at Bass Track and tell the whole bunch is sandbaggers.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. and I'll be honest, I love every one of them. For me,
oh yeah, love them.
I mean, Bass has done everything to make my job harder since I started, giving more.
We're not letting up.
Surprise! I'm the only one that doesn't know. But thank God for the sandbaggers. They make it a little more exciting.
We got together and we figured, you know what? If Mercer knew what we all had, it'd be hard for him to keep the energy. So we voted in one of them secret meetings that we'll just put in some bull crap on there.
There's been a lot of voting. How come a 25-year-old puts up their hood and they look invisible, but if a 50-year-old puts up their hood, they just look homeless?
Yeah, we look like we're going to stop by the liquor store, and we know somebody from the meeting that we're supposed to be attending the alcohol AA meetings in there, so we go in like this. But it has a whole different look when you put it over that beer. I look like a Unabomber.
Either that, or you're trying to go to the back corner of the old video store that used to have a curtain around it.
How did you know it had a curtain?
Well, but I mean, next question. Is sandbagging imperative in your line of work at times?
Yeah.
I'm not talking between anglers, but maybe you just don't want the crowd around you right away.
There's a lot of that. I would say that straight up, man. If you know you're catching them and you're trying to dodge, having a big spectator deal, you might lie a little bit. You might maybe not gonna catch them as good. So I think you see that the Classic's one of the big events where you see a lot of that.
Yeah.
The guys have had time to sit and think about it, and they're like, you know what? If I play it down, there won't nobody be around me on day one. I can kind of flow and go, So that's a big event for sandbagging. So that makes it hard against the fantasy fishing too.
Yeah. Well, how does that feel? I've always wondered. I mean, I I love all you guys. You know that. And it one of the worst things, and I don't know what it feels like as an angler, and that's what I'm asking. I will walk away from events while you guys are signing autographs at a fence, and I will hear somebody who just got eliminated from the top 50, and without fail, some dude's like, "Hey, you ruined my fantasy fishing
Got it,
team,
dude. I
this
took that
weekend."
beat down last year everywhere I went. Like last year, like G-Man, you killing me. G-Man, you are killing my fantasy fishing. I said, well, hell, I ain't helping my bank account neither. It ain't like I'm trying to kill your fantasy team. But they say it, and I'm like, yeah, I got you, dog. I got you. So you know what I tell them now? They say, should we put you on a team? I said, pick the 5 youngest guys in the circuit. That's all you got to pick. I said, but I don't want to let you down, and it's hard. Like that fantasy deal is tough, man. But you hear people say it, and they don't mean nothing by it. But you're like, yep, I didn't get them. I let you down.
I feel for your team. I feel for your make-believe team.
Yeah.
But my real life problems are kind of more important to me right now.
Yes.
Yeah. I think big comeback year for you this year, G.
Yeah, I was really disappointed in myself and my finishes last year. And I tried some things, Dave. I tried to fish natural sometime and outside the box, and it burnt me. So this year I'm gonna kind of stay disciplined, dude. But anytime you have a bad year, it really kind of you set yourself up and going, hey, let's don't do this again. Let's get back in the game here. And what's weird is when you have a couple of bad tournaments and you can miss a check by this or that, just a little bit here and there, it starts to add up. And then you try to do a lot of big things to try to correct it, and it usually doesn't work out. You just keep trying too hard. And there toward the end, I'm like, you know what? It's got to take my lumps, and next year start soon enough. And I'm set up. I've been working on some stuff, and just getting ready mentally. It's going to be a grind this year on a couple of derbies, and unfortunately, we start out in Florida. That should be good. Get some weather on us, and those could be different tournaments. I don't necessarily know what we're going to be, if it's going to be full blown scoping, but we could see some sight fishing and some variety of fishing, and I sure want to take advantage of them.
I'm predicting big things for you, and I'm going to say the only place you're going to be sandbagging this year is on the beach.
God, that was so. I call my granddaughter about 3 times a week and tell her dad jokes in the morning, and she's 10, and now she gets, when I tell her what is really dumb, she just won't even answer me. She'll just sit there on the phone, just dead ass.
Well,
dad jokes are cool.
It's fine. We're dads.
Yes.
What do you expect? Oh, Gerald Swindle, I appreciate you, and I will see you soon.
I'll look forward to seeing you in Florida and hanging out on stage again. And I'll see if I can, what's that say, shock the world. I'll hit you with something that just, I've been practicing. I've had a little time to think about it.
Yeah? Do you practice in the off season? I mean, no. I mean, you've got new body parts though.
Yeah, I got a new show. I got a new chicken wing up there, so I feel pretty good on my left side. I got some pins in there. Now I can really throw that spinning rod. Pew!
Look out.
Got you. I'll see you in Florida, Dave. Hope it warms up. Peace out to everybody. See y'all on the other side.
Z-Train. You've covered this sport for a long, long time. Sandbaggers, who are your top 3?
Top 3. Actually, it's hard to use the word sandbagger because every single one of them in some way, shape, or form is a sand. That's actually not true, because what's funny, and I've talked to you off camera about this, in however many decades I covered this with you and Sanders and everything, and I've thought about this a lot. And Dave, you know this. I had a no call list, and the no call list is, all right, this is not going to work, working with this angler and him working with me, and it's just not going to work. And my biggest problem was I always wanted to be prepared for the viewer, not only Bassmaster Live, but back in the Bassmaster television show days, to give them the information I wanted to know, because I wanted to know, exactly what the viewer knows. Tell me where, tell me how, and man, I'll stare at that bait like I want to know the lure. But you also had to protect anglers throughout the history if those baits didn't coincide with their sponsors, blah, 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 blah. And I thought about this. There's only been like 8 anglers that made the no-call list out of thousands. And I mean, for the most part, the anglers were phenomenal to work with, man. Phenomenal. Like, this is what's weird. I thought about who are the best. You look at guys like Rojas. Alton Jones was great to work with. Jacob Wheeler was one of the best. To Van Dam, to Gussie's, to Carl, and anyway. And I thought about what are two stories I'm going to give you three anglers, but what are two stories I've never told? One of them, you know this, you know all these stories actually, is one of them, and this is a bizarre story, but it made the no call list after this. But I think I actually called this angler back and still didn't get much information. But it was kind of right when Bassmaster Live started, which was a scare for anglers,
Yeah.
just because you're given the juice
Scare for
without even
us.
having to say a word. It's great. But what it also did was, for anybody with a fish in mind, you didn't need information because you had a visual now. So I think and it doesn't matter where it was at, but I think it was Lake Havasu. And going into the second day, Matt Herron made the top 10, and Matt was a handful. He wasn't going to give you, and whatever. So whatever. Um, I called him. I remember this distinctly. I said, "Hey, Matt, can you just walk me through practice? What can I talk about tomorrow? Tell me what I can say, what I can't say." And he took a pause and kind of went into his practice and went into his first day of the tournament, and then stopped and said, "Hey, I don't want that camera in my boat." I said, "I'm sorry." He said, "I want that camera in my boat tomorrow." I said, and I had not run into that yet. Um, and look, he's got a job to do. I got a job to do. So I instantly said, "Hey, dude, not a problem. Let me call Mike McInnes, and no worries." I said, "We'll put it." So at the time, I think, Dave, we were covering like six anglers. So hell, we're just going to put it down to the seventh place angler. Let's move on. So I said, "Matt, not a problem." I said, "Done with it." So I hang up, call Mike McInnes, and I said, "Hey, Matt declined wanting a camera tomorrow, and let's just put, hey, no problem. Mike, he's whatever. Let's move on and not spin, run on ice. Let's go." So 30 minutes later, my phone rings. It's Matt Herron. And he said, "Hey," in his Matt Herron way, what what am what am what am I going to tell my sponsors about not having a camera?" I said, I don't care. But I don't know. I said, "What do you do?" I said, you tell them the truth that you declined the camera." "Well, I can't because they're my sponsors." And I said, "Matt, is this a trick game that we're playing right now?" "No." I said, "Well, I'll be honest with you. If your sponsors ask me, I'm going to say the truth and say, well, Matt declined the camera." "Well, we can't do that." And I said, "Matt, call Bruce Aiken. I'm done." So Bruce Aiken calls me back and he goes, "Hey, just so you know, we're gonna put a camera in Matt's boat tomorrow." I said, "Man, we could handle this on the first phone call." I said, "What are we doing?" So that was one. That was one. The next one was actually pre Bassmaster Live, and Cliff Pace wins the classic. Okay. And this is back when Sanders and the whole crew, the Jam crew, went to the you remember those days when we
Yeah.
went to tournaments.
The good old days.
So he wins the classic, and I'm gonna say, I'm about 99% sure this is another weird one. I'm gonna say it was Bull Shoals when we had like 2 days on Bull Shoals, 2 days on Norfolk.
Yeah.
Actually, I think Matt Herron got into it with Randall.
He did. That's exactly where that happened.
All right, so my gosh. So anyway, so we needed. It was back when we used to do those winning ways things. Okay, and I we needed to get Cliff for winning ways for the classic because it's get ready the classic where you needed to sit down and just go through 20 minutes that he caught him on a jerk bait and he caught him on a jig, and that's how you won on Grand Lake. And he weighed in, and I'll never forget this. It's almost like he was in a marathon, and like he's running to get to his vehicle and it is not doing it. And then we get to the end of the tournament, And he tells me, you remember this? He said, hey, and I respect this. I respect this. He said, uh, days 1 through 4, no interviews. After day 4, when we get to Monday, I'm all yours. And I said, yeah, the last time I checked, we're gone. Like, we're not there anymore. And I said, Cliff, in all honesty, I said, we're not there anymore. We're not, we don't have the budget to stick around and do your interview on Monday. And this was where him and I kind of chipped at each other. He said, well, you need to do me a favor and tell me what professional sport after competition they got to do interviews. I said, I'll start with all. and, and I said, let's do a golf comparison. Days 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They do press conferences. Actually, I said, Cliff, they do them for hours. He said, well, golf's not my job.
In football, they actually come in the locker room while you're
I,
changing.
so anyway, here's what was interesting, and here's where I give Cliff a lot of credit. I mean this. Cliff was and is who he was off camera as he is on camera and owns it. I'm cool with that. But he had a sponsor. This is about 2 months later. 2 months later, came up to me, and you have worked with this person, has retired, worked in marketing. Little fella, well, he's a talker, came up and he said, hey, I got a little bit of a problem with you. And I said, oh my gosh. I said, what have I done? And he said, I don't think you're giving the classic champion very much exposure, in interviews on ESPN. I said, yeah, well, he doesn't do interviews anymore on days 1 through 4. And he looked at me and said, what the hell did you just say?
Well, it sounds made up. It really does. Like, it sounds like
No, and Dave, you know this. I looked at this marketing person and I said, no, go ask him. That's what he said. He doesn't do interviews anymore, days 1 through 4.
Oh.
You're gonna make me. Oh, right. And listen. I would say the third. Well, no, I wouldn't say the third angler. And I actually talked with Sanders about this on TNZ. Um, it's Edwin was the hardest ever, and I can't put my finger on one tournament because it would be all. And here's what's weird about the Edwin dynamic is he's such a gamer, dude. He's such a gamer, but there was always you felt this paranoia that you could tell that he thought you. Now, I don't think this. His roommate told me this, that he thought that anything he said to somebody was going to go to the other anglers. It's going to go out to the other anglers, which you wanted to look at him and go, "Hey, dude, I'm not going to risk my job by ever telling anybody secrets." But what I learned was with Edwin was there are going to be people at work that you just do not, personality
Yeah.
wise, that you just do not get along with. And that was throughout my 2 decades with that. That was the person. And I know it's vice versa. It's just a person that you don't connect with. And that's cool. That's cool. But the other side of that is Edwin went on a mass terror where he was in the top 10 every tournament, and I felt liable that I had to get some sort of juice for the viewer because he was killing it. But what I've learned over time, look, I cannot get along. I could not get along with Edwin, which I did not, but I respected his job. I respected, and I thought for a period of time he was the only one that really put fear in Van Dam's reign. Like
Yeah.
skeet here, skeet there, skeet this, skeet that. But I really thought Edwin was kind of the transition where Van Dam slowed a little, but Edwin, Edwin was heading here. I always respected his job. Who knows? Maybe someday down the line, Edwin and I'll work. No, we won't actually,
Probably.
ever. But no, probably not. Probably not. But those were the three. Those were the three that were. The first two was hysterically, like, at the time it was frustrating, but you look back on it now, and it was absolute bizarro world. But the thing was, a lot of those, after these situations would happen, I would run to you and vent, like, frustrated. And the other, and what's weird about that is, for who's watching this podcast right now, what's weird about that was I would be so frustrated, for the most part, going in studio and looking at Sanders and showing them a white piece of paper, and here's what I have on this angler, and it would give me anxiety, which it shouldn't have, just because I could run my mouth like I am right now. It gave me anxiety that I wasn't prepared to give the viewer what they wanted. So
Yeah.
fun times.
But you were the conduit, though. Like, you had, before pre-live, you had to get the truth for, that
Yes.
I respect that about you. I've laughed about it over the year, because you take it, and not that I don't take my job seriously, but you take that element of it,
Very serious.
like
Very serious.
even when they say I'm throwing a 1-2-3 jig, you will
That doesn't
zoom in
work.
and be like, that is not a
Yes.
1-2-3 jig.
Well, and here's why I say that, Dave. There was an angler, Cochran, and this was like the
Yeah.
biggest barn fire ever. Cochran, sponsored by Strike King, throwing a Lucky Craft Pointer 100 on camera. Dude, our viewers are not that dumb when you say that it's not X bait. And not only that, to me, that when that stuff would happen, it hurts the integrity of the entire game. And listen, the viewers of Bassmaster television show back then, or Bassmaster Live, they're not that. Sorry, we got somebody at the door right now. Sorry,
Maybe
Clover
it's
wanted
Edwin.
to get involved right there. Exactly. Well done. Uh, to me, that was the biggest key to having credibility, for which the Bassmasters is credibility. At least when I was on the clock, when it came to lures, we either tell exactly what it is, or we stay as generic as possible. And I don't think we missed. I don't
Yeah.
think we missed and that meant a lot to me, just because I know the viewer would, if you didn't, would totally bring you to the mat and call you out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. You imagine if you could have told the future, if you were like, I know I'm bothersome asking you information, but guess what? In 5 years, we're going to cover everything. We're going to see every element, whether you give it or not.
Dude, I'll tell you somebody along that line that I give a heck of amount of credit to, because he was in a weird spot. And I looked at Davey. You were on the stage. It was at the Classic at Grand Lake when Hamner won. And dude, Fish has got a grill full of mega bass.
Yeah.
Okay. Whenever somebody says, by the way, on this podcast, whenever somebody says they're throwing a suspending jerkbait, if they're not sponsored by mega bass, it's a mega bass, right? That's just what it is.
Not always.
That's what it
Come
is,
on.
dude. I'm just being honest. So anyway, so the fish that Hamner's catching got a grill full of deep diving 110 in their face. And I looked at Davey and I said, look, man, we got a problem. Like, we got to put this in Justin's court on how to handle this, because he's not going to only be in the top 5. He's going to win this tournament. You knew that after day 1 and day 2. You knew he was going to win the tournament. And so he comes in the interrogation room after the weigh-in, and we're sitting there, and I said, Justin, how do, what, help us, help you, help me, help Davey. What we have got to talk about this, and because it's all he's throwing, dude. It's all he's throwing. He's got 6 baits on the deck of his boat, and they're all that, Dave. So and I could see his wheels were turning, and I give him credit, because he wasn't sponsored by that company, and he said, stay generic, but don't lie. Do not lie. stage it. So I just held the bait up on Bassmaster Live on the set in Tulsa. Well, every single viewer knew exactly what it was, but I give him credit and I give his sponsor credit that there was here's where I really do after that tournament. He really handled himself for a young angler and that's a hard position. No, it's not that hard of a position. He just won the classic, but he handled it pretty darn good. He handled it good.
Yeah. And I know during that time, he was also getting a lot of pressure to not say what it
Yes, I
like
know that.
from
I know
sponsor.
that.
Like, I don't think he's with
Yes.
that sponsor anymore.
Oh, well, I guess it didn't work out real good, so never mind on that.
Zona, you are incredible. You
Yeah,
always bring the fire, as
thank you.
you are bringing the fire on the TNZ podcast. Make sure to check it out, Tommy and Zona. I could listen to you guys read the freaking dictionary, and I saw episode 1, and I can't wait for the next one.
When we start running out of topics, I'm gonna start sharing stories about you. I mean, eventually throughout this year, we're doing enough podcasts. I'll put the wheels on you. I love you, Dave. Thank you. Thank you.
I told you they would bring it, and if you ask me, I think I think it was Broughton. Thanks for watching this week. Remember, tune in each and every Monday on the Bassmaster channel, bassmaster.com, and you can see this podcast or you can see the TMZ podcast with Tommy Sanders and Mark Zona each and every Monday on other social platforms after that. And, thanks for being my first. It is a big week, though. I will be honest. It's a very big week. As if launching a new podcast wasn't enough. This Wednesday is the 200th episode of the Mercer podcast, and we have a very, very special guest that has never been on the show before. And as if that was not enough, Thursday morning, finally, the Bassmaster Elite Series is back in your life in Palatka, Florida, and I hope to see you there. Have a great week. Enjoy being, and remember, everything that was said here, well, it's officially unofficial. I gotta go to Florida. Bye.